Welcome to the Board of Directors agenda meeting for April 9th, 2019. This is our opportunity to review the agenda for our formal board meeting that will be held on April the 16th, 2019. We'll have a few presentations today, but before we start, definitely want to take some time to recognize Mr. Bruce Moore, that you have definitely been in the City Board's thoughts and prayers through this time, and want to make certain you know that we remain with you and pray for your strength and comfort. Give them a round of applause. All right. Today we have a presentation, Education Sharing Day Proclamation for April the 9th, 2019. Rabbi Yosef Kramer will be here to accept that proclamation, and I'll come downstairs. Rabbi.
You present. I should say something first. Okay.
I'm sure you had something to do.
It's a small thing.
A preacher always has something to do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Scott and the City Board members for including Little Rock in this great American tradition of over 4 decades. Education Day honors and recognizes the work and vision of the great Jewish leader of the 20th century, Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson, lovingly known as the Rebbe, the Hebrew term for spiritual guide. The Rebbe was not only a Jewish leader, he serves as a moral consciousness during a time period of great social change. He urged that greater attention be given to the 7 universal laws for all mankind, also known as the Noahide laws, since all of humanity are descendants of Noah following the Great Flood. It is these 4,000-year-old laws which serve as a universal bedrock of legal and moral code till today. The Rebbe taught that we all carry responsibility to better the lives of others, and that we have the potential through large and small acts of goodness and kindness to affect the real global change. The Rebbe believed that a value-based education is the key for a better and more decent society. Academics is integral, but needs to be based on the ethics and morals that are endowed by their creator. So, in a broader sense, Education Day is a time to take up the higher calling for a social and moral responsibility, and to believe in the inherent goodness of mankind and to act upon it. May our city of Little Rock be blessed with peace and prosperity, and may you all succeed in recognizing and sharing the goodness in your lives with those around you and all of the citizens of our city. Thank you.
Rabbi, thank you so much for sharing that very great history and knowledge about Rabbi Schneerson, and we are very grateful for that. On behalf of the City of Little Rock, I want to just share briefly a proclamation that we've shared for today being Education and Sharing Day. And it reads, whereas the City of Little Rock seeks to improve the lives of its citizenry, excellence in education and ethical values is vital that success both in this city but also in Arkansas and the entire United States. And preparation of students for the responsibilities and opportunities of the future includes developing the intellect through lessons in literacy, math, and science. And whereas one example of the impact of education was provided by the Rabbi Schneerson, a righteous memory, a global spiritual leader who dedicated his life to the betterment of mankind. A tireless advocate for youth around the world, the Rabbi emphasized the importance of education and good character, and instilled the hope for a brighter future into the lives of countless people in America and across the globe. And the Rabbi taught the education in general should include the acquisition of knowledge and preparation for a career, or in common parlance, to make a better living for oneself as well as for the society as a whole, and that the educational system must therefore pay more attention to the building of character with emphasis on moral and ethical values. And in recognition of the Rabbi's astounding and lasting contributions toward improvement in education, he has been awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, and the United States Congress has established his birthday as a national day to raise awareness and strength of education of children. And the President of the United States has paid recognition to Rabbi's vision each year on that day by proclaiming the Education Sharing Day in the United States. Therefore, I, Frank Scott Jr., Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, I do hereby proclaim Tuesday, April the 16th, 2019, Education and Sharing Day. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, as a symbol of acts and kindness, when one little bit of good act chases away a lot of negativity. So I brought coins here in a charity box.
All right.
So I'm going to start with you. And if I have your permission to give a coin to everybody to give to charity,
Yeah.
is that okay with you?
Yes, you do. Thank you.
So every little bit chases away the negativity.
Now, Dean may have to give us a couple of extra.
When people and the leaders show the acts of kindness, it passes on to the community. Thank you very much. God bless you.
I'll now ask my dear friend Ron Maxwell to approach the podium. He's going to discuss a few things for USSS Little Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate this opportunity. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Board, and distinguished guests here in the audience. My name is Ron Maxwell. I am a volunteer coordinator for the namesake committee of the USS Little Rock, and I've enjoyed doing that for the last couple of years. It's been a great experience. We've had a lot of, I'm sure most of you are aware that the ship was commissioned in December of 2018 in Buffalo, New York. It was a great event, and we had a lot of great participation from the City of Little Rock at that point. We have established an ongoing crew relationship between the city and the ship and the commanding officer, and one of those responsibilities includes a crew visit to the city to make the crew more aware of what we have in the great city of Little Rock, and North Little Rock, by the way. And it's been a great experience. 2 years ago, we had a crew of 15 to come to the city, and we showed them a good time for about 4 days. And so we have a new commanding officer of the ship, and he called me the other day and wanted to bring another crew of about 15 members of the USS Little Rock back to the city so that they could become more familiar with what the city has to offer. I mean, after all, these guys, men and women of the ship, are ambassadors for the city of Little Rock wherever the ship goes throughout the world. It carries the name of Little Rock on the back of it, and they're all good guys, very proud sailors. Of course, I have a soft spot in my heart for sailors because I'm an old Navy guy myself from way back when. So. But just, I don't want to take any much more of your time, but I wanted to let you know the crew will be here, including the commanding officer. His name is Leonard Mitchell. He's from Canton, Mississippi. Very nice man. He will be leading a crew of 15. They'll be arriving at the airport here in Little Rock Thursday between 1 and 2 o'clock. And the first act that we want to do, they'll be staying at the Courtyard Marriott down the street. The first thing we want to do is have a Welcome to Little Rock party. And it's going to be at the mayor's reception hall at Curran Hall, starting at 5:30. The mayor himself will be there. I think we have a 30-minute window of opportunity for you, Mr. Mayor, and we appreciate that. But what I wanted to personally do is extend an invitation to all of the city directors to come to the reception. We're going to have whole hog barbecue after that, so hopefully that will be a little bit of incentive for you to come. But we'd like for you to learn more about the USS Little Rock and its mission in the world, and be very proud of these guys because they're out there on the front line serving our country. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Ron. We do appreciate you and look forward to the event next week.
5:30 Curran Hall, whole hog barbecue.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ron, is it this week or next week? This Thursday. Day after tomorrow. 5:30, Curran Hall. Whole hog. Not Sims. I'm just joking. We love whole hog. Even more since they offered a no name. Thank you so much, Ron. Next week we'll have a presentation for the National Community Development Week. Before we go on to our consent agenda, I want to take a point of personal privilege and recognize our dear Senator, Linda Chesterfield. She has been fighting the good fight on behalf of the city of Little Rock on many different things. So we also, I'm going to take another point of personal privilege. There's a thing we call Dean's Bill. And Dean's Bill is the online sales tax bill, which was passed and the governor signed today. And we know you played an integral role in that. And we want to share our appreciation to you. We also know that you want to, in addition to sharing anything as being a dear state senator that covers Little Rock and other areas of Pulaski County, that you want to make a few comments. I think you may not be able to attend next week's meeting due to another engagement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I saw my colleague, Representative Blake, come in,
He's talking.
and I would ask that he join me if it's okay with the governor, with the mayor. He is never this deferential. But we speak as one tonight. We have fought very, very hard for the citizens of England Acres and Brittany Point to have a safe community, a community that's free from violence. You don't read about us in the paper. We take great pride in our community, and we continue to come before you to ask that you not approve. What's the proper name, Joan? Joan told me the proper name. We just call it the strip joint. So the Sky Bar. We want the Sky Bar to go elsewhere, simply because our children do not need to be exposed to anything that is open from 11 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning, replete with poles, 200-person parking garage, and our community abuts both of those, all of that. We feel that they ought to go elsewhere, infest somebody else's community, and leave ours alone. We've been before you before. Some of you are relatively new, like the mayor. I've been bugging him. But this is very, very important to us. We want to keep our kids safe. We want to keep our community safe. Neither my representative nor I can be here next week, but we would ask for a no vote on the Sky Bar coming into our community, and I would yield the rest of my time to Representative Blake.
Thank you. I know better than coming after my senator.
You need to stop. Thank you so much for listening to us. I know this is not something that you usually do, but I do so appreciate you taking this time to listen to us, and may God bless and keep each one. And we do get our school district back instead of it being 4 more years.
Amen. Thank you so much, Senator. We can now proceed with the review of the proposed agenda items. Board members, are there any questions regarding items 1 through 3 on the consent agenda? Any questions? Seeing none. Board members, are there any questions regarding items 4 through 12? Director Adcock.
Yes. Item 7 and item 11, please. I'm sorry, just item 7.
Let me ask Mr. Collins to come forward. Would you like a presentation?
Yes, I would.
And and Director Adcock, solely item 7. You don't need item 11. Okay.
No,
Thank you,
7, please.
Director Collins.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, Director Adcock, this is the top of the ladder. It's a conditional use permit. The existing property is R2. It's off of Stanton. This had been to the Planning Commission, and it was denied, and they was going to appeal that decision to the board. But in that appeal, some of the discussion was the removal of a restaurant use and what they was proposing. And that was the main reason that staff did not support that application. And so that was deemed enough of a substantial change that we took this as a new application, and it come through to the Planning Commission. Scott, if you go to the site plan, please, or the sketch plan. So in that proposal, what they're looking to do is just to amend that to just a mixed office and retail use, and restaurant is not going to be included in that. And then there's also going to be a 6-foot fence put on the north side. There was one opposition at the previous meeting when it was denied at the Planning Commission. It was the owner to the north, and his opposition was that fact that the coming in for a restaurant use and the time of the day or evening that it would be used, that the lights from the vehicles and the cars would be pointing into his yard, and also just the general disruption of that use. And so with that removal of that and the addition of time limits on what they're proposing, staff felt that we could support their conditional use permit for this location. Well, I'm going to read it directly from what they put on there. They want to rezone it to mixed use. They're going to have 4 suites included in there. It's just professional office space and general commercial use for that. They listed a beauty product supply store and a beauty barber shop. No, there's no liquor store listed in here.
They
Well, since they
cannot.
have listed the proposed uses with the 4 suites for general professional office space, and that's not a liquor store, and then the beauty products and supply store and the beauty barber, then we would deem that a change in what they're presenting as a conditional use.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Adcock. Seeing no other questions, board members, does anyone have any questions regarding item 13? Director Adcock.
I'd like to have a presentation on that. Not that I have such a negative question, but this group does so much work in our city, and I would like for them to come forward and talk about what schools they'll be participating in this coming year and all the children that they have helped in the last year in Little Rock, because they do a tremendous job in our schools.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Dorsett.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. I'd be happy to answer that question. So the city year is made up primarily of AmeriCorps students who go individually and collectively into the schools to work with students who are at risk of not finishing at the level, at grade level, basically. So they definitely work one-on-one, but then they also work in small groups and sometimes with the entire school. Mentioning the 6 schools that they are in the Little Rock School District, it's Mableville Elementary, Cloverdale Middle School, Mableville Middle School, Hall High School, McClellan High School, and J.A. Fair High Schools. And then they're also at Mableville Elementary. So they work before the bell all the way through after school bell with the students with whatever it is that they need to be successful. Right now, they're working with more than 490 students, and they also provide full-time classroom support for the teachers as well. But the main focus, again, is that one-on-one tutoring and intervention with students who've been identified as off track. And so that's throughout the entire school year, and these funds support those efforts in the schools.
Director Webb?
Thank you. So is this something that the Children, Youth, and Families Commission has been involved in?
In what way?
Discussion of this program?
In the discussion of the program, we do include it because this is actually the second year that we would be extending this. So it has been part of our budget. This would be the second year that it would be included in that.
So this is the same money, this is not an additional 100,000 that we're looking for?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Webb. Any more questions on adding item number 13 to the grouped items? Seeing none. In addition, there's a public hearing that we recently discussed with Senator Chesterfield that's scheduled for next week on the rezoning to allow a private club to be developed on the property. Board members, are there any questions of staff? Director Campiris.
Could we have a presentation? Staff presentation.
Mr. Collins, could you please give us a presentation on item 14?
Scott, if you could bring up the zoning map, that would probably give a better location where everything is. The property in question is the property that's highlighted there at Zone C3. It is at the northeast corner of Arch Street and Dixon Road. It is within our extraterritorial, but the city limits is on the west side of Arch Street. Now, we exercise zoning jurisdiction for this parcel, and this parcel only on the east side of Arch Street. And that was an action that the board took several years ago when this property, they come in, to exercise and wanted to rezone it to C3 for sale. And at that same time, when the board approved that one, the board also, part of that said that whenever this property does develop, and it ties to sanitary sewer at that time, that they would sign a pre-annexation agreement, to provide that sewer to that. At this time, there's not sewer provided to this property. There is sewer available, but is in the form of forced main along the property. The applicant come in, Scott, if you go to the sketch plan, and wanted to present a rezoning for the property, and it's appropriate for the rezoning to be a planned development because of the fact that they're asking for a private club, and they're within the 750-foot limit to do so by neighborhoods. There's just that neighborhood to the north you've seen on the zoning map. So in that, they put a description of what they're looking to do on the private club as far as hours of operation, and the word's correct, they're looking to operate till 5 a.m. in the morning. They have also received ABC permit to provide that, at that time frame from the ABC through judicial action. And so what they're looking to do is for the private club to sell alcohol there and also have entertainment in the building. As described by by the representation, the applicant, as wait staff dancing in a burlesque fashion when they presented it at the Planning Commission. And so they went through as far as a site plan issue. The drives were moved location pursuant to our requirements for distance from the intersection. There was opposition at the Planning Commission. So what's coming before you is an appeal of the denial from the Planning Commission. There was, I believe, 5 that spoke against the application, but there were a larger number in the room that were present for that. So is there any other question that I might be able to answer?
Well, now, Director Adcock.
Yes. We received 44 pages by email the other evening on this application. Several of those was petitions.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that there was a letter in there from the Pulaski County Sheriff.
Yes, the Pulaski County Sheriff was in opposition, and also the Pulaski County Judge was in opposition for this.
Okay. there was some legal battle that this organization or this company went through. Can you tell us what the legal battle was? I understand they won it, but what did they win?
I cannot speak to the specifics of the litigation and the win. We did download that, and I can make that available to the board. We'll get that out. But in general, the ABC denied their movement of their permit from another county to this location. And in that denial, they sought appeal through the judicial means for that and won that case. And so that's where I said they received their permit through a judicial decision.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to have a copy of that, please.
I can make that available.
Director Wyrick, Vice Mayor Wyrick.
One of the key things about this property that I'm very concerned about, I know you noted the 750 feet from a single-family use, but according to your write-up, it says that this location is 290 feet from a single-family property, and then the parking lot is 120 feet from single-family properties. So to me, that is way too close for this type of business to be put in next to a single family. Not only does it not fit the 750, it's really, really close to single family residences. So I wanted to bring that out.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Wyrick. Director Fortson.
Mr. Carpenter, if I understand Mr. Collins, the applicant won a judicial approval for an alcohol dispensing privilege at this location. Does that mean, or did they win approval to operate a private club in that process? Question one.
No, they've got approval to use that license at that location if the zoning is approved by the city.
Now, in the event that the city fails to approve zoning for a private club at this location, which prevails, the ABC ruling in that court case or our denial of a zoning permit?
The city.
City does.
It's two different issues.
Thank you.
Any more questions regarding item number 14? Seeing none, we'll now move to our legislative update.
Just one item before Emily comes. If we can get it done, we'd like to try to add a modification dealing with the Dell contract or active. Randy told me this afternoon that if we can get it done next Tuesday, there will be some additional incentives for. So if Mr. Carpenter's office can get it prepared, we'd like to add that for next Tuesday also.
Great. Now we'll have Ms. Emily Jordan Cox, our Intergovernmental Affairs Manager. And before you give our legislative update, Emily, I want to make certain that it's publicly known how much we appreciate your work this legislative session. You have been quietly helping to pass bills and help make certain other bills don't see the light of day that have a negative impact on the city of Little Rock, but not just Little Rock, other cities that are part of the Central Arkansas region and other like-minded municipalities, and just want to make certain that you know not only myself but the entire city board greatly appreciates your work. I know it's a lot of early mornings and late nights, and we just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board. So I think the most important part of my update is that it looks like tomorrow will be the last day of the session. And you heard the mayor steal a little bit of thunder that the governor has signed the online sales tax bill this afternoon. House Bill 1633, which amends the law regarding witness intimidation and retaliation and bribery by Representative Tosh and also Representative Collins and Senator Bond, has now passed the Senate. There's got to be a concurrent Senate amendment, and I think that looks like it's on track to happen tomorrow. And then, so that's good. House Bill 1410 is the implied warranty of habitability bill by Representative Gazaway. And he, as you know, he did bring the bill before the committee twice and did not receive enough votes, and he decided not to pursue the bill anymore. So it is still in the committee. House Bill 1402 by Representative Gonzalez limits special elections, and that also remains in the House committee that it was assigned to. I believe it was heard one time. I think that's right. My memory may be failing me, but that it does definitely remain in the House committee. And then after being on the deferred list in the committee for several weeks, Senate Bill 179 by Senator Mark Johnson regarding reorganization of municipal government got out of the Senate, and then it's been amended several times, and now it will go to the House tomorrow. And it's my understanding the bill authorizes, if the form of government changes, that can either happen by a petition signed by 15% of the voters. It can then be taken to the mayor, who then issues a proclamation for a special election. So either by the petition with 15% of the voters or an ordinance by the board. And it also sets up parameters for representation following that a reorganization. And then House Bill 1875 by Representative Davis amends the law concerning the city manager form of government. And the sponsor has said several times that it's permissive, and it has passed both chambers, and it adds an option for selecting the board of directors, but it does not remove any of the existing options. Senate Bill 411 by Senator Stubblefield is to prohibit municipal sanctuary policies, and that bill passed the Senate, and it did not receive enough votes yesterday to get out of the House committee, but then the committee met again this afternoon, and it did get enough yes votes to get out of the committee, so it will head to the full House. And I understand that the governor had wanted a probable cause amendment that is not on the bill. So we'll see what that leads to. And there were several, Director Campuris had asked about a gun bill the last time we were here, and there were several that would have impacted us. And House Bill 1694 by Representative Womack was the first one that was filed, and it is still in the House committee. Senate Bill 614 by Senator Stubblefield also stayed in the original committee where it was assigned. And then Senate Bill 660 by Senator Trent Garner was sent to interim study. Senate Bill 492, which allows for the establishment of temporary or permanent entertainment districts, has passed both chambers and has been delivered to the governor. And those, I believe, are the bills that I wanted to report on this evening, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Director Hendricks.
I just lost my phone piece, but I would really like for Emily to place some emphasis on Andy Davis's bill, that 1857, because I want you to realize that the public is listening to this, and I want you to tell them more about the 1879. And Andy Davis, the piece that has to do with city government. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that when you finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Now or?
Oh, you can do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it
Sure.
now.
I'd be happy to. So it adds an option for how the board of directors is selected, but it does not repeal any of the existing options for how a board of directors is selected. It's my understanding on
But
that
you're going to
piece.
have to, you're not speak up a little bit or whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Okay. And then it also, let's see.
So my question is it okay? Has it passed everything? That's what I want you to tell me.
Okay, it has passed both of the chambers.
Okay.
So it's passed both the House and the Senate.
What about the governor's signature? Is it
I
there?
checked it a few hours. I don't think it has. It is the last time I checked it, which was within the last couple of hours. It has not been signed.
Keep pushing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Campuris.
Emily, you've done a good job. Just I think when you see Gretchen and her team, you need to congratulate them also. They've worked
Tirelessly.
real hard. So thank you.
Director Fortson?
Emily, one question, which is probably one you can't answer, and you might want to pass it to Sarah. I'm sure she can't answer it, but I want to ask it anyway.
Okay.
This morning's paper reported that DFA projected that the local sales tax portion of what you've called the Dean bill will result in $10.8 million beginning in the next fiscal year. Have we had time to try to extrapolate how much of that would possibly, and I realize it's sort of a shot in the dark, but maybe there's some parameters you could follow, how much of that might possibly come to Little Rock?
I think Sarah would, I don't want to speak for her, but I think she would say that she's not able to give an exact amount. So I'm sorry, I don't have an answer. You
Nice
would.
handoff. So.
Mayor and Board, Directors, we obviously saw that too. We would just hesitate at this point. We've seen some projections, and I don't want to be overly anxious or too low, but we know it will have an impact. When you saw that 10.8 figure statewide, you said you kind of had to start thinking it wasn't the type of impact we thought initially, but it'll be a positive impact, and we'll refine the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more questions for the order of the day? If not, thank you everyone for your attendance, and we'll see everyone next week. Meeting is now adjourned.